Good morning, and welcome to our press conference releasing the From Waste to Spaces to Healthy Spaces, Transforming Brownfields and Vacant Spaces in Sacramento. This report is a culmination of over 3 years of work, not only in South Sacramento, but also in North Sacramento, where we have been addressing unhealthy land uses throughout the Sacramento region, and found that in certain communities, especially in South Sacramento and North Sacramento, there's a disproportionate impact on communities of color and low-income communities. Over the last several years, Ubuntu Green, through our Healthy Land Use Engagement Project, has been addressing these issues, talking to hundreds of residents and finding out that a huge issue that they had is that there were vacant spaces within their communities and no one knew what to do with them. We also found through our research and data that a lot of these spaces were brownfields. These brownfields being spaces that either assumed to be contaminated or are contaminated. These areas were creating blight within the community, where you were seeing illegal dumping, where you were seeing trash, prostitution, drugs, and crime happening in these spaces. Also, they were unsafe spaces, so that when youth and children running through the community were playing in these dangerous spaces, they had the opportunity to be hurt seriously on these grounds. What we have been doing for the last 2 years is meeting with advocates, elected officials, government agencies, residents, and many others to figure out a way to start addressing these blighted spaces within our community. Through these efforts, we've had a coalition of over 70 individuals come together and come up with a comprehensive plan to begin to address these issues. This report is the culmination of that work, and in this report, as you have the opportunity to read it, you will have the opportunity to see a direction for the Sacramento region, the city of Sacramento, Sacramento County, and other agencies and municipalities within the region to move forward to eradicating brownfields and vacant spaces in the community and transforming our communities to something that's green and beautiful versus all these dark spaces in our communities.
Thank you, Charles. Thank you for that. First of all, I want to thank Ubuntu Green for bringing up this very important issue. One of the things I was able to do was to witness the action of this very important organization in bringing people together and mobilizing people around the communities over at a Black Party over at the Avenues. It really is about mobilizing and identifying assets in our community. I have devoted my career as a pediatrician first, now as a legislator as well, to really think about how do we tap into the assets that are in our communities, how do we bring them together so that we can benefit from them, that we can make our communities stronger. Now, I had partnered with community organizations to have resident physicians go work with them as a pediatrician, and now I know that Ubuntu Green has been identifying these fields that should not just be problems. They do have problems, it's brownfields, but how do we turn them into assets for the community? How do we bring people together in the community to make the most of them? And what can we do, certainly in partnership, to turn these areas into places that will benefit the community and not just be a source of problems and difficulties. And that's really something that's going to require the joint work of people in each of the neighborhoods. And we need to think about what can we do, both the people, most importantly, the people who live there. What can we do as government to try to help transform? What can we do to bring the private sector as well, the local businesses and other agencies? How can we, and local associations, how can we tap into all the assets in the community so we can strengthen our communities and make these areas, these brownfields, these vacant lots into places that benefit the community? So I appreciate the strong work that's being done with this report, From Wasted Spaces to Healthy Places. That's really what it's about, and the people who have been working on this. And again, I want to express certainly my support as an assembly member here representing the Sacramento region for their work, and certainly want to support them in whatever way I can. So this certainly fits right in with my life mission and my career, and I'm glad to see these champions here today to talk about this very important issue. Thank you so very much.
very much, Assemblymember Pan. Really inspiring words. So I'm Jonathan London from UC Davis Center for Regional Change, and we've been very pleased to partner with Ubuntu Green and the range of members of their coalition over the past number of years to use university resources, in this case the kinds of mapping techniques that resulted in the maps as you can just see here in front of me, really trying to illustrate how the populations and places that are disproportionately burdened by environmental hazards, whether that's toxic or hazardous land uses, poor air quality, other kinds of less healthy land uses, how these burdens are disproportionately affecting communities of color, low-income communities, other communities that have the fewest range of social, economic, and political resources to prevent those hazards affecting their health and affecting the health of their communities. So the work that we've done using some of the tools that the California Environmental Protection Agency and their Office of Environmental Health Hazard Assessment which that work has resulted in something called the Cal Enviro Screen that looks at this coincidence of social vulnerability and environmental hazards. We've taken those data and created maps specifically for the Sacramento region, and they really show that the communities that Ubuntu Green and their partners are working with are in fact those that are most heavily affected by this layering of environmental and social factors. One of the things that's really exciting about this campaign is that it really represents what I would call a new face of environmental justice. That is, it's not only focusing on what are the bad things happening in communities, it's really trying to envision what's possible. What would it look like for these communities to thrive? What would be the kinds of economic changes, land use changes, other kinds of policy changes that would really help these communities manifest what they're really capable of and really providing everyone in those communities the highest possible quality of life. So this campaign both documents the problems but really points the way towards this much more inspiring and healthy future. So we're very pleased to be a contributor, and we look forward to seeing where the campaign goes and implementing these visions.
Hello, my name is Pam Warren. All right. Good. Okay, my name is Pam Warren, and I'm a resident of Oak Park, and I'm an Ubuntu Green gardener, and I found out about this organization through ACE, which is a community empowerment organization. And what I do basically is I go to Ubuntu Green garden, and I garden, and I harvest, and they have great vegetables. But also they have a center there where kids come and help out and do their homework. You can get help with their homework. And so they turned an empty lot, basically, that was really trashed out into a nice space. And I want to do the same for my street. So I've spotted a couple of empty lots, and I got out, asked the neighbors, do you want to put a garden here? And they said, yeah. And now we do the work, because you have to do some work. But Ubuntu Green has been very helpful in doing this. People don't know they can do this, because the particular lot, the first one I picked, was just a trashed out space, basically. People would dump trash, literally garbage, on the lot, and the city would come and clean it up, and next week somebody else would come and dump, or maybe even the same people. And so finally I just said, okay, that's it, because it attracts rats, it lowers the property values. I've been in my house off and on for over 60 years, so I don't want the property values lowered any more than they already have been. So we've been working on handling the blighted houses and the empty lots. So I really appreciate what they're doing, because I can envision Oak Park being as great as it was 60, 70 years ago, with those empty lots turned into parks and gardens. And I want to thank Ubuntu Green for giving me this opportunity to help my neighborhood and community. Thank you.
Excuse me. The words of Assemblymember Pam here, our resident here, and Jonathan are emblematic of the types of things that need to happen within the community. Is that the partnerships need to be between government, between residents, between community groups, between universities and other research institutions in order to be able to solve the problems within our communities. I want to point out something that was discovered through research that the county had done, the County of Sacramento had done back in 2006 and 2008. And they had found that in Sacramento County that there were over 850 known or suspected contaminated sites within Sacramento County. 525 of those sites were known or suspected to be brownfields. 250 of those 525 were suspected to be contaminated by petroleum. Of 200 of those 520 sites are known to be existing in South Sacramento along the Florin, Fruit Ridge, Broadway, and Stockton corridors, which are heavy communities that are communities of color and low-income communities that are overburdened with these toxins right within their communities. And you know, I thought about it the other day as I woke up and my voice was going, and I'm just trying to keep it on and get it back here, that understanding that I live within these communities as well, that it is time that we begin to work of collaboration across all different sectors to remove these toxic substances out of our community, to move this risk away from our children and our families on every day. Lastly, I like to say this could not be done without the collaboration of not only working with the Center for Regional Change, but also the Sacramento Housing Alliance and the Coalition on Regional Equity. We have all worked together hard the last several years with our resident and community partners to really move this agenda forward. I think as you look at this map below me that Jonathan's team put together around the California environmental screen, never before had people really thought about the city of Sacramento and its sort of surrounding areas as being an environmental justice area, where many of our communities are impacted by a variety of toxic sources within our communities. And then when we find that many of the zip codes in North and South Sacramento are with the top 10 and top 20% most vulnerable communities to environmental health within our region, it's time for us as a region, as a city, as a county, as regional governments, as residents, and as stakeholders to get together and begin to eliminate these toxic substances within our community. So we thank you for coming today. Those of you who have the time today, you can meet us over at Shriners Hospital at 12:30. We're going to start talking about the next steps and how we implement these next steps and how we begin to band together. One of those next steps will be an environmental justice working group for the Sacramento region, where we'll begin to not only get into dealing with brownfields and vacant spaces, but other environmental issues that are disproportionately impacting our communities of color and low-income communities. Thank you.
I do have a question.
Yes. And questions, please.
Can you identify some areas, brownfield areas, and what type of contamination that exists there?
That exists here. I can't go specifically in some of the sites. So first, we'll answer this. Part of those issues, those numbers I just ran, some of those numbers, sites are actually, you can actually see those sites on maps, and you'll see some of those maps within our report. Some of them we don't know yet, and we're trying to discover them because that was involved with the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency grant, where they got dollars to do assessment, and there was protection given to the landowners over identification of those sites in order for them to play with the city, county, and US EPA. And so we have been working really hard, and we've gotten some data from Cal EPA and others to try to identify where those sites are, or at least to identify them in a way where we can begin to work with that area. What you'll see on the sites, there are several sites that have had old gas stations. There's a site, we remember, on Stockton Boulevard near the Lemon Hill community, where it was a gas station in the 60s, and we don't know if it was ever cleaned up, and now it's mostly empty, and then other has old used auto parts sites. So there's a lot of sites like that where there are old cleaners, old light manufacturing plants, that are existing within the communities, and those sites are some of them are unknown, some of them are known. What we're trying to do is bring to light that they're known, but not in a way that's going to be punitive against the landowners or who caused the contamination, but in a way that we come collaborative together in the community to figure out how we can get those cleaned up and moved to good uses.
And once you figure out how to clean it up, it's going to cost a lot of money to clean it up, right?
Some of them cost money, yes. Some of them will cost money, and I think in some cases you will see large costs, some of them you'll see small costs. It just really depends on the level that's there. You can leverage federal dollars through US EPA and other agencies to try to deal with some of that cost. The city of Sacramento has dollars within their Brownfields assessment, cleanup, and revolving loan funds that they've received from US EPA dollars that they would love to spend if they could just help, get help to working doing that. One of the things that we want to do is identify resources through US EPA and others to do some brownfield area-wide planning in South Sacramento and Del Paso Heights, where we'll actually do targeted planning and work together with community and agencies and other stakeholders and landowners to do the real planning about what it's going to cost and how many sites do we need to address to start that kind of revitalization. But as a lot of us know, part of the reasons that a lot of the vacant lots within the community don't get cleaned up is because of the fear of that contamination, the fear of that cost that you're talking about. And unless we go and explore and find out, will we be able to change that mindset? Other questions? All right, thank you.